Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, taking another Pokemon Gen 1 Recomp PC port update for you guys. Because honestly, the update's been coming fast, but I figured I'd let it sit for a little bit to see exactly how everything shook out. Because I've been doing a lot of Pokemon videos because you guys have wanted to see them, but I wanted to have a couple days between the last one and this one. And don't worry, I still have a guide on how to set this all up coming soon, maybe early next week to mid next week. But a lot of the things that you guys have been requesting have been put into the actual build right now, and now you can do two different versions of Pokemon Stadium battles when you're actually in a battle during the gameplay. Because a lot of people were talking about in comments saying it would be great if you could basically have some of the polygonal models from Pokemon Stadium brought into the actual Gen 1 Pokemon PC ports, and that's exactly what is happening today. As we jump into a battle, you will see that suddenly we have a 3D model in front of us. The one thing you need to worry about or make sure is that you turn back sprites off. I did this intentionally so I could show you that it is actually covering up Squirtle right there. But if we go back into the menu, go to options, and we go down to that back sprite, so long as you turn it off, then you'll have everything working perfectly fine. There's also two different versions of the Pokemon Battle Stadium, and I will show you the second one in just a moment. But honestly, now you have a full sky box, you have full Voxel 3D, first person mode, third person mode, and everything else you could possibly want. And I can't really think of anything else that could come to something like the Gen 1 Pokemon PC ports. But I know you guys always have some fun ideas, so you tell me, what's the one thing you'd like to see come over now? Because the last big request was Pokemon Stadium, and that is now in this build. If you're getting much further involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, you got a Patreon link down below as well. But now you will see that we have the models, and because we turn back sprites off, you're going to be able to just see the models from Pokemon Stadium incorporated into the actual Gen 1 Game Boy games. The idea that this is still basically just the Game Boy games that you played back in the day is absolutely insane, and it just 100% breathes so much new life into these titles. Because a lot of people love to comment, this is exactly what they wanted Nintendo to do, and Nintendo never will. So as usual, fans will do what Nintendo don't. So as we go through this area here, again, I love the 3D models coming in because it really gives you a really fun sense of just how much different they are compared to the voxels that we're seeing right here. And they really do stand out and basically align near perfectly on the playfield as well. So it really is a very good illusion of having something like 3D models from a completely different game and a completely different piece of hardware brought into the Game Boy build. But you leave a comment down below and you tell me, are you into the 3D models, or do you like the original sprites or the voxel sprites? And the fun thing is you can kind of just play around with any combination of these things you could possibly want. You can use these 3D models, you can use the original sprites, you can use voxel sprites. It really gives you basically a menu that you can browse through and decide exactly what it is you want. Now I turn the curvature on the voxels down here just because when I'm actually in first person or third person, I kind of like it just to play from a more normal perspective. You can absolutely make this look like a complete tilt shift lens diorama world where you're just kind of the god looking down at your character as it plays around. And there's more updates coming. Yellow is still being worked on, and I've seen a lot of other mods in development. I think it'll be a fun time as well, but I like to wait until things are relatively buttoned up before I show them to you. And again, the 3D models are just so fun and so charming. I'm not sure if the entire Pokemon Battle Arena from something like Stadium could come in, but I'm sure people will look at that and see whether or not it's possible. And if you go back into the options menu and you go ahead into the actual 3D battle, you can go to Stadium B, and that will change the background as well, which you'll see in a moment. The most fun part is it really gives you the options to do whatever it is you could possibly want with this actual PC port, because now you'll see more of a basic look here, removes all the environment, all of the voxels, and some of those could get in the way every once in a while of your view. So maybe this is the mode you want where you get the 3D, but you never have to worry about anything in the environment actually obscuring your view. But honestly, you can switch back and forth on the fly. You don't need to restart the actual PC port, and that is a really nice thing. You can kind of just decide what it is you want. And I love when you go into the menu, it's back to the normal Game Boy look as well. It kind of shows you where this thing came from and where it's going. Let's do a soundtrack sample just for fun, and I'll be right back with a lot more fun changes. love in the voice there. It kind of sounds like a horror movie and not a Pokemon game. So you'll see here there is a Stadium Realm option and it'll say ready. All you need to do is bring your legally owned 1.0 version of Pokemon Stadium, the North American version. When you actually hit open there, it'll bring up a file browser. You go ahead and give it that file, then it'll ingest everything and it'll say okay when it's been brought in. And then you can load up your previously saved game and you'll be perfectly fine with no issues whatsoever. And that really is a nice thing. Saves seem to persist across all the different versions of the actual Pokemon PC port as well as all of the mods. I have yet to actually have to start a game over from the beginning because I added in something or updated it, and that definitely makes a big difference. And now in the launcher as well, there's going to be an update option menu for some of the actual mods. So if you're playing around with the actual Voxel mod, you will see whether or not it is up to date, and you'll be able to update from within the launcher, not having to uninstall and reinstall the actual zip file a second time. And I think that is a really nice quality of life improvement. The easier it is for people to update everything and get the most modern code, the better. And again, this is all still in active development, so it's definitely going to keep improving, keep getting different, and keep changing, hopefully all for the better. But do tell me down below, have you been playing this and what have you been using? Have you been using the Voxel mods? Have you been going for the more 2D look? How have you been enjoying the Pokemon PC ports? For me personally, first person mode really is an absolute trip and it is my preferred way to play. And now with the 3D models in from Stadium, it just kind of ties together so many different looks. But it is wild to think that this game is just a Game Boy game at its heart. When you originally played it on your Game Boy back in the day, you may or may not have even had color depending on what model of Game Boy you were using and whether or not you had color editions. You would have an 8-bit 2D screen, and now in this PC port, you have 3D, you have voxels, you have 3D models from Pokemon Stadium, dozens upon dozens of all of the best possible mods out there. You can even use VR mode as well because there is a VR build of this one. And I think maybe in like 7 to 10 days, I will do a showcase of some of my favorite mods because there's a metric crap ton on Bryantthaboi's Discord server. And honestly, I kind of want to go through and curate at least what I like. But if there's been other mods you've been using, you leave me a comment down below and you tell me which ones they are, because I really would be curious, because sometimes, believe it or not, I actually do learn stuff from you when you leave them in comments. Although more often than not, I'm the one telling you the stuff and I always enjoy doing that. But this is just so fun to actually see get developed in the actual process. I always like to say on the channel, I like to know how the sausage gets made. What that means is I'm usually way more interested in the development process and how these sort of things evolve over time than I am in the finished version. Now don't get me wrong, I do love a finished mod or a finished game or a finished PC port, but it really is how things kind of come together that entertain me. And you'll see here we are in the actual Gen 1 graphic system here with voxels. That's where the camera can sometimes obscure a little bit of your battle. So if you go into the Pokemon Stadium B battle, that's when it changes just to those two spotlights on the ground. So you'll never have to worry about obscuring any of the actual graphics that you're seeing, whether they are sprites or whether they are voxels. Let's do one more soundtrack sample just because the game has such good music and it really has improved since the last time I talked about it. So go ahead and listen for like 35 seconds or so, but come back. I'll explain a little bit more on how to get this if you haven't played the PC port yet, so I can get you started. But enjoy. I've legit heard so much Gen 1 Pokemon music over the last like 3 weeks or so, I swear it's going to be branded into my brain. And there are people working on music replacements as well, but when I'm talking about a PC port, sure we might turn the graphics into voxels, sure we might bring in 3D models from Pokemon Stadium, but I really do like to leave the music as is, at least for me personally, because that is what was in the game when it originally shipped, and it's something that I'd like to see how it sounds and builds, because if the audio was off, we'd be able to tell, but if I mod in different music, you wouldn't know if there was an issue with the music in the actual PC port, because I wouldn't be playing it. So sometimes the decisions I make might not make sense to everyone, but there really is a method of the madness. And you'll see here we can pop out Bort Jr., the son of Bort, the most popular name ever made, and I love that people get the joke here when I play around with naming different Pokemon. but honestly, this thing still impresses me every single time I take a look at it, and I can't wait to see what comes next, because trust me, there are a lot of plans out there. But as far as other games in the Pokemon franchise that aren't the Gen 1, Red, Blue, and Yellow, I don't know if they're in the actual roadmap or not. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But short of that, definitely check this one out, and I'll see you guys next time, and say hello to Bort Jr. Bye-bye.